When the remake of Resident Evil 2 was announced back in 2015, it generated a huge amount of hype among the fans of the Resident Evil franchise and the survival horror genre in general. But 2 years later, we still haven't seen any trailer or gameplay footage. In this video, I gathered as much info as I could about the game, plus all the rumors and fan speculations, in order to elicit the most probable shape of the upcoming Resident Evil 2 remake. Considered as the best entry of the series by many and sold more than 5 million copies, Resident Evil 2 was an insane critical and commercial success. For many years, the fans were begging Capcom for a remake of their classic masterpiece. And who can blame them? Just imagine a Resident Evil 2 with the same quality and polish as the original Resident Evil's remake. So when Capcom finally announced that they were working on it, it was a dream come true for me personally, despite the fact that we still don't know much about the game. There are some valid reasons for this silence though. The first is Resident Evil 7, of course. Capcom focused all its marketing resources to promote the release of this installment early this year. Until this moment, they are not quite done with it yet, especially with the upcoming DLC, Not a Hero. The other reason is that Capcom purposely delayed the remake till 2018 in order to coincide with the 20th anniversary of Resident Evil 2. Last thing before we move on, it is important to note that the original voice actors will be replaced, as Capcom decided to use non-union actors to voice the game's protagonists. Resident Evil 2 featured 2 playable characters, Leon and Claire, with 2 scenarios for each one of them, resulting in a total of 4 different scenarios. While it's true that the adventure is the same for the most part, each scenario presented enough differences in puzzles, storylines, NPCs, and enemies to justify multiple playthroughs. So I'm really curious if Capcom is going to keep this structure for the remake, or, God forbid, play it safe and lazy and make just one scenario for one protagonist while the other is controlled by a second player or a stupid AI. After all, Capcom seems to like forcing co-op in its beloved franchise. I really hope they don't go this way and stay faithful to the original game. What would be great, however, is including some elements from Resident Evil 3. For example, if you remember, Resident Evil 3 begins 24 hours prior to the events of Resident Evil 2, and when Jill falls unconscious for 2 or 3 days in the middle of the game. This is when Resident Evil 2 took place, and we don't know what Nemesis was doing during all this time. We didn't bump into him in the original game because, well, Resident Evil 3 wasn't created yet, but it would make total sense if he make an appearance in the remake, don't you think? The Resident Evil franchise is notorious of popularizing the fixed camera angles and the tank controls. Although these features were used as a necessity due to the hardware limitations of the time, they did serve the horror aspect of the games by limiting the visibility and the protagonist's movements. The remake of the original Resident Evil conserved this unique gameplay and enhanced the environment's details to an unbelievable level, making it one of the best video games remakes of all time. But it's not sure if Resident Evil 2's remake will be the same, especially that Capcom has confirmed that they will be using the RE engine to make the game. It's an engine that was created specifically for Resident Evil 7 and allows to produce highly realistic human skin and dynamic shadows, which are not really compatible with the fixed camera angles gameplay. But either way, as long as the game keeps its creepy atmosphere and doesn't transform into a mindless shooter, it should be fine. With the successful release of Resident Evil 7 and Origins collection, it was proven to Capcom that the fans have been longing for the fear to return to the Resident Evil saga. Spooky atmosphere, puzzles and terrifying monsters were the essence of the first installments. Resident Evil 2 perfected all these points, and that is why it has been held in high regard to this day. This remake is a great opportunity for Capcom to introduce its masterpiece to younger gamers who never got the chance to experience the original game, and to demonstrate to old-time fans that they still are the masters of the survival horror genre. I hope you enjoyed this video. Click a thumbs up if you did, and why not consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching.